Hey there, happy Thursday! Thank you for joining me here tonight. We are going to continue on the Granny Squares quilt blocks tonight. So thanks for joining me. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for the beginning crafter. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time that we can relax and craft together for about an hour here in the evenings. I typically work on projects from beginning to end, so you can be part of the whole process along the way. And feel free to ask questions, give comments, and help me out a little bit if I'm stuck. So thank you guys again for being here. Like I said earlier, we are working on the Granny Square blocks tonight. So over the past few days, we've been sewing all the rest of the strips together. So this is actually done. This a whole thing like this, all checkerboard, all cute, is actually made from strips. So I have all of these strips sewn together. They're actually all different lengths. And we have 16 more blocks to do, so we've made 16 of these guys. And last night we actually started sewing them into little pieces like this. We have our little 6 strip onto there. And we'll go through that process again tonight, but first we are going to finish sewing up all our little pieces to make the block. Our first block since sewing all these strips all at once. So now we'll just be making blocks after this instead of the actual prep work, so that's kind of fun. I'm hoping we can finish this one tonight and maybe get a whole nother one finished. That'd be great. So thanks again, and let's get going. All right, so this is where we left off last night. I have, again, like I said, I have all these strips. They're stair-stepped down, and that's so we can get a piece that just has 2 on, 2 squares, and then if we cut it again at this part, we get 3 squares, and that's what we sew together. So we have the 2 squares, the 3 squares, 4 from when we have the 4 strips here, and we just keep chopping them up so we have 4 of each. And it looks like we just have all these squares that we sewed together when actually they were strips. So that's how far we got last night. Now we're to the part where we're just basically sewing a 9 patch together. Hey Randy, hey Rebecca, hey Kathy, Shirley, I see you guys popping in here, so thanks again for joining me. So we're basically sewing a 9 patch together, which is a block that has 3 rows and 3 columns. And even though this looks very intricate, it really is 3 pieces, 3 rows, and 3 columns. So we're going to sew those together. I'm going to start by sewing the first columns together, and then we'll take it off the machine and sew the 3rd columns to it and take it off the machine again. We will press everything and then sew the rows together. So that's the process. We'll also be nesting all of our seams. So nesting the seams, the purpose of it is so we can have all our lines match up perfectly. So if you don't do it quite right, you'll have a little stair step joggy jog like that. I don't know if you guys can tell, versus here where I go straight across. Here I got that little bump down because I didn't do it quite perfectly. We are going for this straight across look, so everything is like a perfect lined up piece. Obviously not all my pieces are like that, but the way we're doing that is by nesting the seams. So when I put these right sides together, you'll notice that some of the seams are pointed to the left and some are pointed to the right. Each row is pressed in the opposite direction. So when I bump these together, the folded edge of that's called nesting. They actually physically have a hard time going any further than the 2 folds meeting will let us. And if I sew while these are kind of bunched together like that, that will give us that really nice matched up edge. So again, if we don't do it quite right, it'll be more of a little jog like that. So we're trying to get them right exactly together, and we're going to do that by nesting the seams. And I'm going to hold the one and sew, and then just keep matching them up as I go along the line. So that's kind of the process. All right, so let's give it a go over by the machine. I have my little, light didn't go all the way on there. Okay, there we go. I have my little business card here. This is marking the 1/4 inch, actually a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance, which is just slightly smaller, a hair, like a literal hair smaller than a 1/4 inch. It allows for the width of the fabric, since the fabric has a teeny bit of width to it, a hair's width, about. So I nested that first seam together. I'm just going to kind of hold it in place. What's neat is you can actually nest as you go, because you can feel those folds meeting up to each other. And I just hold it here with my little stiletto or my hand, just to kind of hold it in place. And I'm going to just go one by one and try and match them up, manipulate them, move them around if I can to get that nested seam. Ooh, I can feel I might have messed that one up a little bit, but we'll see when we're done. And I'm going to sew all the way to the end. And that is our first column, first two columns in the first row. Now here's the second part. Pretty easy. Just right sides together. The second row, I should say. All right, and the third row. Hello everyone. I'm just I'm trying to peek at the comments as I'm here tonight. Hi on YouTube, Vicky, Marie, Nilda, River City Creative. Hello to you guys as well. Hi Gretchen. Hey Sylvia, Nolene, over on Facebook. All right, get this next one. Sometimes I like the stiletto. This is my stiletto. It's actually just a turkey baster, or not a turkey baster, a turkey lacer. New turkey baster. I'm like, that ain't right. Close. Just trying to match things up a little bit. And then all the way to the end. All right, so I'm going to just take the first piece off of here, because I can actually keep sewing without taking all of this off. Oop, I missed. There we go. Take our leader off. So let's see how we did. Oh, hey, not too shabby. So I'm just seeing how well we matched up the lines from nesting the seams, and they're looking pretty dang good. I would say this has a very, very, very minimal jump down, but hardly anything, and all these other ones just nested perfectly. So we got like perfect lines going across there. I'm really happy with that. So let's hope we do as well with our next column here. So typically it works better one way than the other, so we'll see how this does. But let's give it a go. So this is the last piece of the first row. It is a lot of starting and stopping, but I think I like this way better than pinning them all beforehand. I feel like that last one was probably off. I feel like I'm off on that one a lot, but I don't know. All right, let's get the next row off of the machine. So I'm just cutting that last part off. Okay, let's flip this. Ooh, we actually had a little bit of a cooler day here. We had windows open, it wasn't so humid, although it was really rather windy and it rained in the morning, but it's kind of refreshing. Although next week I think we're supposed to be in the 50s, so Summer is getting to be done a little bit, I think. Ooh, dang, all these look good. So a lot of these fabrics are pretty similar. There's some other fabrics that I sew with that are a little stretchier, I think. And those ones I maybe don't match up so well. But dang, I think this might be my best matched grouping yet on this whole project. I'm calling that a win. All like 5 of those lines look great. That hasn't happened yet. Feeling good. Must have had the right amount of sleep tonight or something. Or last night. Hello? I just feel like I might have jinxed myself by saying that out loud. Okay, and we're done with all those rows, so let me just get another leader from my basket. So this is that basket that I have the little squares that I'm gradually sewing into half square triangles for another project, basically. So this is like I'm magically getting work done on this project while I work on this. And the reason for this is so I can just take it off the machine without pulling like long pieces of thread and stuff. You can just sew another piece on. And a lot of times what people do are just have like little scrap pieces around and they just keep reusing it like this. But when I can, I am using a whole nother project. All right, here are our rows. Let's see what that looks like, and we will now press them as well. So I got my little pressing mat. Let's trim these apart. Okay, so our top and bottom should be the same. Ooh, it's looking good. And then here is our middle row. So the top and bottom, we are going to press these seam allowances outward like this. So I'm going to just there's a lot of seam allowances on the back here that I don't really want to disturb, so I'm just kind of hovering over it just to kind of open it up a little, and then I'm just going to place it down here, and we'll give it like a really good press, a little bit better press. There we go. Getting it all good and flat. All right, let's do the other one like this right away. So the top is the same as the bottom. Oh, dang, Vicky says in Upper Michigan, in the UP, they had high winds and lost powers for 2 hours. So, all right, we talked to my parents, and they're in Wisconsin, quite a bit farther south than the UP, but they had really high winds. We were supposed to, I guess maybe we did a little bit, but kind of earlier in the morning. Huh, this got a little dirty. I wonder if my iron's a little dirty, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know, got a little dirt on there. Luckily it's going to be in a seam allowance, so that's not going to matter. Okay, so those ones we pressed outward. Then for this one, since we want to nest the seams again, it has to be opposite. So this is the middle piece. This one I'm going to press inward, and I can kind of just follow the seam allowances that are already there because they all point that direction. There we go. And I always like giving it another press from the front. Oh yeah, it's fun having that little teeny bit of hot pink in there. So that's kind of like the only color that's quite a bit different from the rest in it. So in my blocks, all of the blocks have that pink in. All right, so here let's put them together again. So here's our 3 rows. And same thing, we're just going to nest the seams. So now this is where I've made the mistake a few times and had to get the seam ripper out. But, it's checkerboarding. So when it's stair-stepping. So when I put it together, I start sewing. But every once in a while, I accidentally shifted it down this way. So it still feels like I'm doing the checkerboard, but then I get to this point in sewing, I'm like, what the heck? I thought this was supposed to be in the middle, and then I realize, I shifted it the wrong way. So now what I've been doing is I've been flipping the edge right here while it's still on the table and I can see it, so I don't mess up later. So, all right, now I should just be able to grab this and sew. Because it's a little awkward, because remember, our pieces aren't starting at the same point. So, you know, if I'm accidentally shifting it down here, that is not quite right. So our first nested seam is way down here, which is kind of awkward to play with. But I'm going to hold that there. I'm holding the nested seam, and we're going to get this started. But I've done it more than once already on this project, so it's like you'd think I'd learn. I guess I have, but it's a fool me twice situation. I have done it more than once. There we go. Just trying to get the needle to be in that down position, because that will kind of hold everything in place. So one by one, we're just nesting those seams. I'm feeling for that fold. All right, so we've reached that middle piece, and now we can get the back end here. So we'll have to take this off the machine again to sew the last row on, and then we'll press the whole thing and trim, and we will have completed another block. I'm hoping to get another one going. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we won't finish the whole thing. We might just stay late and finish it. We'll see. Because tomorrow we won't be working on this again. Tomorrow is Finish It Friday. So the first Friday of each new month, we break out something that we haven't worked on in a while, some unfinished project, a UFO, and work on that instead. I don't know what we should work on, though, so if there's a project that you know we've worked on here that you want to see again, because we haven't finished it, let me know, and maybe I'll pull that one out. Maybe I'll bring a bunch of them out tomorrow, too, and we can decide tomorrow what we want to work on, too. All right, let's just peek how we did with the matching again. I'm just looking at, oh, see, now here's one that's not perfectly done. We got that little stair step. Very minor, though. I'm actually really happy with that one still. But dang, all these other seams are looking awesome. This might have been my best matching block, I'm telling you. All right, so I'm going to go again to here, just because that extra, like I said, laying it out on the ground like this is helpful. Otherwise, I'll accidentally stair step it up too high, and then realize that I'm wrong by the time I get here, or I'll go like this by accident. I actually need to go all the way down here. And now I'm going to just flip it here while I can see it all. And there we go. This will be our first nested seam. All right. Let's get that together. I think it wasn't until the second time that I made that mistake that I was like, I should lay this on the table and match it up first. And that's been helpful. I need tricks. I need all those tricks. So just, ooh, now this does not feel, this feels far away from this. Ooh, this one's going to bunch up even. Well, this is the type of thing that happens when my seam allowances are all weird. I think I didn't sew these strips together, the seam allowances on the original strips all that well. So I think that's when things don't match up just quite right. I think it's from that. But that first one felt way off. But all these other ones seem fine. All right, now we're on that second half. So, I mean, you know, it's easier to sew all the way down the row right away, but I like matching them up as I go. Matching up the seams as I go versus beforehand. Because I feel like I'm skipping a step, which I always like. All right. There we go, all the way to the end, and we will have our block. All right, I think, oh yeah, this guy's done sewing, so I need another leader squares for my bin. I'm going to need to cut more of these soon again, too. We could actually work on this leader project again. Oh, we did that last month, though. But it's still not done. It's still, I still need to trim all my squares and stuff. All right. Here we are. Oh yeah, there's a pretty big stair step. That's the one that was just feeling super weird, and that affected all the ones after too. But then it looks like we got back on it at the bottom. So there, that's some pretty big jogs there. All right, let's press this and then cut it, and then we're done. Done with this block. All right, so same as before, I'm just going to kind of press these kind of open, and then we'll flip it around and press it for real. I'm just kind of urging the seams to be out facing. All right. Oh, I missed, it sounds like, Colleen and Gretchen, you're talking about the I Love Home quilt. Is that the case? Because, yeah, that's not done yet. It would be really nice to try and finish off the back for that, because I would love to quilt that one up. Oh man, so here's a little closer at that mistake. So I'm looking at that jog there, but look, I had that pucker there too, so I must have just slid my starting point a little bit and had to make it up with this pucker. So in theory, I think that'd be a valid unstitch and just stitch that part up, but I'm gonna leave it. I like having those little elements of, oh, look at what she did there. Look at that crazy pucker. I think it's kind of a fun history of the project, actually. All the little mistakes. So I'm going to leave it. But all right, so there is our block. So here's one of my favorite parts. We've been looking at it as a diamond this whole time, but what it's really going to be is a square. So if we shift it, then this is how it's going to look. So I'm always amazed at, like, whoa, okay, that's what it's going to be all of a sudden. Like, it's just, I don't know if you guys feel like that, but just like the turning it to the direction that it's actually going to be in, it makes it feel like a whole new thing a little bit. So I really like that process. All right. Last bit is going to trim this down. So let me get that ruler. Okay, so I'm just using a square ruler. You wouldn't need a square ruler. You could just trim the edges. I'm trimming it right, let me show you guys up close. I'm trimming it right at where these folds are here. So not the edge, but these little kind of where it divots. That's kind of what we're shooting for. So I'm going to try and line my ruler up on the top edge of that and the side edge. And what I'm hoping is that, oops, I folded the piece under. I'm hoping that the bottom and left edges will end up being on that 9-inch mark, because I've been cutting these to 9 inches. And it's a little bit bigger here, so I'm going to try and just equalize it all the way around. So I'm going to be on the inside a little bit of all of them, which is interesting because I thought all my pieces were going to be a little bit smaller, because I feel like I was making my seam allowances too big, but I don't know, maybe when I'm doing the sewing together like what we did today, maybe at that point I'm sewing them too small and it's making my piece just a little bit big. All right, I think that's about good. I think we're fine. All right, let's get my cutting glove on. And I'm going to cut both sides. So I like putting it at a little bit of an angle so I can get both and not be completely awkward. So get that one. Ooh, this is always a weird angle. I should move it a little bit more than this. All right, get those little triangles out of the way. That's always fun. Little scraps. Okay, so we now have our two nice edges, and I can just rotate that around. And now I can measure that this is a perfectly square edge. I can measure my 9 inches on that perfectly square edge. There we go. And that should get us, again, on those little points. So I'm going to rotate it again like this. I'm in like full concentration mode when I'm cutting. All right, let's shimmy those excess bits off. And we have a for real finished block here. Yay, so this is block number 21. All right, so you'll notice, just if you haven't made one of these blocks before, that we're actually not cutting, like we're not cutting to the point. We actually have a little bit afterwards, and that's good because we're actually going to, that's part of the seam allowance, so we're going to lose that. So ultimately, we should be right at those points once it's sewn in. But ooh, yay, I love kind of just seeing what they look like with a few other ones. So we get like ooh, those are cute together. We get like a little sense of the quilt. Let's see, this one's pretty cute. Let's put this one in, has a little bit of green. This is going to be the funnest part when we lay all these out. It's so juicy and pretty. I just love it. All right, so that is one for tonight. Let's see if we can get a little further with another one. Just because they're kind of in the way here. Remember, you guys, we do have the 2 new bundles, the new embroidery bundles, so make sure to check that out. I am able to ship them right away, so you should get them next week. We'll be stitching them up, not next week, because I want you guys to have time to be able to get all the stuff, or like get the bundle in the mail, but the week after. So not next week, but the week after, we will be stitching these. And the post office in some places have been taking a bit longer. So I just want to remind you guys that, getting it this week versus next week is probably a good idea if you want to stitch it up. I do have the PDF patterns, though, too, if you want to stitch them up right away. But I'm really excited to get going on that little embroidery. Little bat guy is going to be fun. All right, so this is the one that I showed you guys at the beginning of the show here tonight. So let's use this one for our next one. So we have our stair-stepped strips all sewn together already. Let's get our cutting board out and my cutting glove back on. And this is the crazy part. Feel free, well, I don't know, we don't really want to press these yet. I was going to say feel free to press them, but we actually want them pressed in opposite directions. So I'm just trimming them by hand without a ruler. Feel free to use a ruler. If you want to use a ruler, it would be something like this. You just kind of lay it down. And, you could unfold it a little bit more. But I just know from doing lots of these blocks that we have a lot of leeway on both sides. I mean, not a ton. You don't want to go totally diagonal, but we do have enough leeway on both sides that you can just roughly cut these, and you're going to be most likely just fine. But so now these strips are becoming basically sections that have different numbers of strips in. So like this one has 6, 5, 4, etc. And that's why we were sewing different lengths of strips together. So we'd end up with sections, groups of different numbers of strips. Now we can press. Now we can clean it all up and make it pretty. So let's just get them all out of the way here. Getting fuzzles everywhere again. You can tell I've been at a project for a week when there's fuzzles everywhere. Okay, so we're gonna press. Let's divide them up this time. So here we'll divide even and odds because they are pressed. The seam allowances are pressed in different directions. So the sections with odd numbers are pressed one way, and then these ones are pressed the other. So let's do the evens first. So the even ones are pressed with the seam allowances going away. I think so, right? Remind me if I'm wrong. Away from our main color. And our main color in all of these is that teal. That's the color that ends up being the outside of every single one of the blocks. So whatever your main color is, it's that larger strip. All the other ones are like 1.5 inches, and this is 1 3/4. We're going to press the seam allowance away from that teal piece. So I'm just kind of giving it a little press, and then I'll flip it around, and we will press it again a little bit better, kind of making sure I'm getting all those folds out of there. Actually, that might be something I know. I remember a while back someone was having some trouble matching up all the seams. This might be the part where if you improve this part, your pressing part, you might have better ability to match up seams. If you just press this straight down, you're going to get like weird little bits, kind of like this, where they're, if I just press this flat like this, it'll look pressed, but if you look from the side, there's actually, like this, this is exaggerated, but there's quite a bit of space there, so you actually need to kind of pull these apart and get it real flat. So if you're just a little off in that, it's going to shrink your whole piece just really, really subtly, and that might be causing some issues. So practicing your pressing might actually do the job. So like if I just press this down, I'll just do it so you guys can see. I'm pressing this down. It seems flat, it seems nice, but I'm actually losing if I open this up. Oops, sorry you guys. If I'm open this up, I'm losing like 1/8 of an inch there. So I need to actually pull this out quite a bit more when I press. So, and I press this towards. I needed to press it away. So I'm actually kind of just, I'm not really pulling like with a lot of pressure, but I'm pulling enough so that I don't have that fold in anymore, and I'm just kind of pressing those seams away. But I don't want that fold in the fabric. I want to make sure that these are pulled open. And I can do that again here. So I'm just going to kind of hold it up, and it's like you're getting the little point of the iron. I'm just doing it with the side. I'm getting and flattening it out there. And then the next one, same thing. And same deal at the end. All right, so that guy's done. And this one away as well. Ooh, I got so many little threads on this one. So again, I'm kind of pulling it out and folding that edge over. And then again, on this side, I'm getting into that fold and making sure there's no folded over edge in there. Oh, so Sue's saying I've had problems with the pressing. My blocks are getting out of square if I'm not careful. Mine have been that way too. I am noticing that. All right, these ones I press towards the teal. But yeah, if I just like pull in the middle and I just get the middle, I think that might be where, if I'm pulling on it funny, it gets a little curvy, like here. You can kind of see my seam has curved a little bit. I'm not quite sure how to go about fixing that. But I've noticed that that's been my problem a bit too. So I am keeping my eye on it when I press and trying to be a bit more careful or conscientious of it. All right, like here's a little bloop, so I'm gonna just pull on that bloop a little bit and then press again. But yeah, I haven't been very perfect on that either. All right, and one other odd one. We're pressing towards. All right, let's flip. Ooh, Pamela says she really likes the colors in this block. I'm excited about this one. It's always such a surprise. That's why I like how we're going about this this project, by like we're really paying attention to the colors that we pick from the get-go. Like we spent some time picking our fabrics, but after that it's been kind of random. So us like me pulling those strips from the bag that we used to have, that was all really, really random. And that was fun. So each one ends up being different and a little bit of a surprise. All right, we're going to trim these now. I'm going to align like this teal line on one of my ruler lines here, and I'm also crossing it over just a hair on one of the vertical lines. That I'll trim first, and that will be like our nice straight edge. So I'm just kind of laying them all on here. I'm not going right on top of them, because then I'll have just like a really thick stack there. I kind of want to spread it out a little bit just so it's easier to cut through. Ooh, that one on top is wiggly. I'm going to put this one on last, I think. This is that one that I pressed first, and you can kind of see there's a big wrinkle line. So that's how much fabric was I was missing out on by not pressing it very well. Okay, so there we go. I have them all like crossing over this edge here, and that's what I'm going to cut first, and then I'll rotate it all around, rotate the whole mat around, and we'll trim off of our pieces. So we are cross-cutting these, meaning we're just we're cutting across in the opposite direction of what the strips were actually sewn in, and this is what's going to make all of our little groupings of strips magically look like we've sewn tiny squares together. But we actually just did it with these long strips. So this part is fun. This is like a transformative part, I feel like. So let's rotate. Ooh, it's such a small space here. Rotate that. And let's, now I'm cutting on that 1.5 inch line. Just gonna try not to nudge these at all. So we only need 4, because these are like for the four corners basically of our ultimate block. So let's just shimmy these out of the way so I can see the nice line again. Right, that's our first. Okay. Oops. Shoot, I moved these a hair. Let's try and nudge them back. kitty scratch them back. When you just have to nudge something just a little bit, and you just brush your finger over the top of it, that will help move the top layer of fabric just a teeny bit. And I call it kitty scratching because it's kind of like if you scratch the top of a kitty's head, that's what you're doing. You're just kitty scratching the fabric over a little bit. Okay, and one more. And you can see this is quite a bit more than the 1.5 inches. So that's how I knew earlier that I have a lot of leeway if I don't cut those strips perfectly. I'm just like, you know, without them being ironed or anything, I can deal because there's like a good 1/2 inch or more really on the sides of those. So these are all garbage or scraps. And there we go. Now we have all these little pieces that look like we sewed a bunch of perfect squares together, which is awesome. So, all right, let's get these off the mat. I'm going to just shimmy them all off, and we'll start making our little groups that will end up being our little stair-stepped edges here. Okay, what we also need is our center square. All right, this one has a little froggy in. And we need 4 of our 1 3/4 squares. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just make sure that I don't have more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. The rest can go back in the container. These are our only little baggies left for this project because we sewed all the strips together. Okay, so next up, we don't actually need the center square or the 6-part pieces. So the ones that we made with the 6 strips together, those we save for later. So I'm going to just dig those out. I'm really making a mess here, so this will be interesting putting them all back together. But all right, there's one more hiding. Where are you? Here we go. There we go. So those are our 6 pieces and our center square. Those can just shimmy to the side. Don't need those. And these are the bits that we are going to stair step up. So remember the teal, or whatever your main outside color is going to be the part that stair steps. So here's going to be our flat baseline, and the teal is going to stair step up. So let's do 1. And you guys caught me. Last night I had 1 this way, and I'm glad you guys caught it. Because I saw you guys say that and was able to turn it in the right direction before we got too far away. Okay, so there's 1. Let's do the rest of these as well. 3, 4, 4. Okay, 1, 2. Kind of going in random order here, just grabbing. And there. Okay, so now we're going to do the same as last night and what we did earlier, and just go around in a circle and keep sewing the first 2 columns together, then the 3rd of all of them, then the 4th of all of them, then the 5th. We're going to match up those seams. We're going to nest those seams together, and we're just going to keep going around and around till these guys are done. So let's grab the first 2 and get going here. All right, let's match these together. Okay, so my blocks have been a hair big. I'm going to see if I can solve that now by really paying close attention to my seam allowance. I think I was making my seam allowance too small. So I'm going to make sure I'm really up against my business card here. And see if we're a little bit more on once we trim it later. Okay, this is our last group. All right, I'm going to snip these first 3 off the machine, and there's our leader as well. Let's get that. Save him for later. And we'll start the next rows. All right, Barbara's saying, have you ever tried cutting at 6 inches, 4.5, 3, and then the last 1.5, you won't have to move the pieces to see where you cut? Oh, you're saying like instead of using the ruler, use the lines on the cutting mat. That's a very good idea. I could be doing that, Barbara. I think maybe we'll give that a go next time. Like when I was cutting, I was using the ruler and then moving my pieces out of the way so I could cut the next, so I could see the line. And you're right, I could just use the cutting mat's lines. But for some reason and let me know what you guys think about this, but my mom learned, and it's kind of ingrained in my head, that it's more accurate to use the ruler than whatever the lines on the mat say. Like, it's more accurate to reline up the edge with your ruler. And I don't know why that would be. So if you guys have an explanation for that, if you've heard that before and have an explanation, let me know. But so I'm always kind of erring on the side of using the ruler unless I get super lazy and I'm like, meh, I'm using the lines on the mat. But really, that seems silly, right? Like, why can't I just use the lines on the mat? So if you guys have a commentary on that, let me know. Wait a sec, I'm doing something weird here. Okay, glad I looked up. Let's try that again. There we go. I think I was going to sew that one. Wait, what am I doing? Something's weird here. Oh, okay, here we go. Now it's feeling right. Sheesh. Must be getting late again. Things start, my body wants to just go on autopilot as far as sewing goes when I've been doing it for a while, and then my brain starts freaking out and messing it up. Should just let my body do it, then it'd be fine. Three. So Catherine has said that she's heard that before. Kathy says that's what she was told to do too, use the ruler. Rebecca says the ruler is supposed to be used. Oh, so Barbara's saying, okay, no, still use the ruler, but cut backwards. Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, I totally get what you're saying now. I will do that next time. That makes perfect sense. So Barbara is saying just do it backwards. Like cut the nice line first, and then cut on the 6.5 inch. Like just subtract a 1/2 inch from each cut. So I'd still have to line up the one nice. Oh, but then I could just go backwards. Okay, I get what you're saying. You're gonna have to remind me of it again when we work on this block again. I'm gonna try and ingrain that in my head because I totally understand what you're saying now, Barbara. And yeah, I should do it that way. That makes sense. I like it. That makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot. And I've never done it that way before, and it just makes total sense. Alright, I'm definitely giving that a try next time. Am I doing this one weird too? I feel like... Oh no, the seam allowance just flipped up. Okay. We're still fine. Did I not cut the rest of these off either? Man, I am like forgetting every step for this one. It's kind of weird. Like I still think it is just like my body's just doing the sewing. It's just going. And I'm not thinking about each step. And then when something feels weird, my body's like, hey, something feels weird. And then I have to figure out, my brain has to figure out, okay, body, where did you leave off? Let's think it through again. But I think we got it now. Oh, Barbara says, yes, I saw a lady at a quilt show and she had a book on it. Oh, interesting. A book on, like, trimming it up all smart like that. That's what's fun. That's what's interesting, I think, with projects like the Aurifil block of the month that we're doing, and like the Splendid Sampler 2, the projects that we're doing that have a lot of different designers who are explaining their way of doing everything. I think it's like just a cool learning tool because, you know, you might have been used to doing something one way and then a designer comes in and is explaining it different and you're like, oh, well, that's interesting. Why are they doing it like that? And it's just a neat way to learn, I think. Ugh, I'm so happy with how this machine is sewing, too. It's just so smooth and happy now. We'll have to remember, like, to at least once a month to oil it up again, because, man, after that time when we oiled it a couple of weeks ago, it has been so quiet and smooth and happy, and it's happy to be around, I think. All right, we're on our last shimmy sham right here. Then we can press, and I think we can get on to putting it together already. That'd be pretty cool. Still think we're going to go a hair over tonight, but we got 1.5 done tonight instead of just 1. Or, well, you know, we're not done yet, but in theory. So many fuzzles on this one. When we're done with this whole project, I'm going to have to do a lot of trimming little bits off. I've just learned so many tricks from sewing in the evenings with you guys. You guys always have, like, good ideas. Good tricks. Full of good tricks. Oh, interesting. So Randy says, when my measurements are off, it's time to replace the ruler and the mat at the same time. The ruler wears down over time, and the mat sort of gets distorted due to many slices. That's a really interesting point. And a really good excuse to get new rulers. I've had these rulers, my bigger rulers, for a while, and I don't hate them, but I don't necessarily like them all that much. For some reason, I always feel like I'm not reading the lines correctly. So those pink ones that I have, so I definitely wouldn't mind. Oh, weird. What the heck? There we go. Huh. Stopped working there for a moment. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the rulers that I have now, so I'd love to try some new ones out. All right, one more here. Get this off the machine. Oop, almost lost my stiletto there. Okay. Let's trim this up and we'll press these quick and see what we get. So we're going to press the seam allowances away from the stack of 5. Okay, so Rebecca says that she just bought a 9.5-inch Creative Grids square, and like at 9.5, that would be a really good size for stuff. Okay, so Deborah on Facebook is saying, brush the lint out of the bobbin and oil your machine and change needle after each 8 hours of sewing. So, okay, let me think. So we do about an hour a night. And not the whole month. Sometimes we're just doing embroidery, and we're technically not sewing, like right now. So I think ultimately what that 8 hours would be like every month. So man, okay, that's a good way of thinking about it. So every month, which would be just around or just a hair over maybe of 8 hours sewing, I should replace all the stuff, replace the needle and oil and stuff. That'd be a really good habit to get into. So I think basically what that means to me is every time right before I sew this project, so every like weekend right before I sew the granny square quilt, I have to do a quick oil and clean up. Okay, I'm gonna do that. I should really do it after today, and then from here on out do it then. I think that's a good idea. Gonna do it. If it doesn't seem like I did it, you yell at me. Just give me a reminder. All right. Let's lay this all out now. This is where we get to see what it starts to look like. The ones that have the green kind of look similar. Like this one had the green in it. It's going to look pretty close to the one we just did, I think. Okay, so those are the ones that we just did, and now we need our little centerpiece and our sixers. So this is going to change the look of it because a white area is the most inner bit. This is going to look like a little eyeball. There we are. Okay, I think we have, well, it's 9:30 right now. I would really like to finish this. So I think this is going to be about 10 more minutes or so working on this, and I think we'll do it. But we're sewing tomorrow with the sewing machine. I hope to make a backing for the I Love Home quilt. Yeah, I think it might be time to pull the I Love Home quilt out. We need that's nice because we did some improv piecing with the Aurifil block, and it'd be fun to do more improv piecing with that. I'm actually, Linda. I'm working on the koala label this week. I'm gonna work on a label that we can print out at Spoonflower. So if I work on that tomorrow, maybe I'll work on it this evening yet. I can share that with you guys tomorrow and see if that's what we want for the label. I'll try and get that done tomorrow so we can share. But I won't have it available to sew. So I think we'll do the I Love Home quilt. But I think let's stay about 10 more minutes or so tonight. We'll finish this little guy up. It's going to just be sad to leave him. So let's do it. All right. Same deal. Let's get going here. Ooh, scissors. Stiletto in my way. So this part actually kind of takes some time. All these matching of the seams and all that. But I'm feeling good. Let's get her done. Sometimes those seam allowances pop around the other way. Alright, there we go. Man, that one felt a little awkward to sew. Again, I think it's just as I get later and later into the evening, my body just starts doing stuff and my brain's a little slower. They don't sync up all that well. Oh, man. I'm just imagining working on this project for like a whole Saturday afternoon, just watching some Netflix and sewing all the rest of these blocks together would be, just sounds super duper relaxing. So if any of you guys are doing that, planning on doing that, let me know. I'll be thinking about you. But this is just like one of those nice projects where you can just focus on a step and wow, these are going to be not aligned well. All right, second part of the row. Zoop. Oh, dang. Lynn is saying, or Colleen is saying, my mother used superfine sandpaper to sharpen her needle if there was a burr. Well, that's resourceful. Gosh, I wonder if that worked. I mean, I guess I don't know why it wouldn't, but that's pretty fancy. Pretty handy. Ugh, I'm just feeling like every single one of these is off by a little bit, so no, this one might be a little awkward. Not like the last one where everything just matched up. Well, what the heck? Oh, jeez. See, I'm telling you, my brain is turning off. I was like staring at this like, where the heck did this piece come from? But it's the piece that I sew onto next here. Like, I have a missing piece? How could that possibly have happened? But it's not missing, it's right. Goes to this piece. But sheesh. Come on, brain. Keep up. Sherry says that sounds like a perfect Saturday. Dang, I don't know. I need a Saturday like that, I think. All right. Next bit. We will jump to pressing right away here. All right, I need a new leader. I could spend a Saturday just working on these too. I got a whole pile to trim down. And we could sew together some of those at some point too. Man, first I feel like I need to clean the house. Every time we go out of town and come home, like our stuff is just everywhere for a while. So I think I should really do some laundry and put stuff away. One of those weekends. All right, press these fellers. So this is where we're pressing both those rows outwards. So if I would just press flat now, I would get that extra folded over edge where we are actually losing fabric in the process. So that's why I'm just hovering a little bit just to get those seam allowances wanting to go in the right direction, and then I'm digging into those folds so I'm not losing any of that fabric by just pressing. Oh, interesting. So, Barbara, that's interesting. So Barbara is saying, when using your wool pressing mat, what temperature do you have the iron set at? She said that she just looked on Amazon, when someone's selling it on Amazon, and they said to use a lower setting because the wool mat holds heat. So I am still on the highest setting because I'm working with cotton, but that is an interesting point because the iron does hold a lot of heat. You can feel it on the other side. Well, actually, it's not so bad on the other side. If you're pressing for a long time, you can feel it on the other side after a little while. But yeah, it gets so like you're pressing from the top, and the heat from the iron is kind of pressing from underneath. So that's a good point. Maybe I should be doing it on medium instead of high. I've never thought about that, but I bet you that's sounds like there's some truth in that. Okay, we're ready to sew our final rows together. He's cute. All right, so it's interesting. Like I thought it was kind of going to be kind of similar to this one, but here we have a lot of this white row on the outside, and here the white's on the inside. So it definitely changes. Like it feels like a whole lot more darkness on the edge compared to this one, even though it does still feel really similar. Bloop. I just thought it was going to feel a little bit more similar. But that's the fun. They're never the same. Still trying to get those better seam allowances with this go, so my size of my finished block is more accurate, even though it wasn't far off really at all. That 9 inches, that 9-inch square is kind of what I'm referring to. Getting it a little bit more accurate because I've been a little bit big, like they're ending up bigger than the 9 inches, which makes me think that I'm not doing my seam allowance large enough here during like all of this part. So I'm trying to be more accurate, go right up against my postcard instead of like veering off a little. And we'll see what the result is. I can't believe we're almost done. We just have one more side Then just some pressing and cutting. And I guess it's a little bit more than 10 minutes. It'll be another 5, so 15 extra minutes. All right, I think I'm gonna actually, let's go to here again. I do find it helpful to do this flip when I can see it. There we go. Just want to make sure. All right. Ugh, yeah, it feels good to get like 2 of these done in a day. Even though we started the other one already, but still. That's the part that makes me feel like, oh, it's just a Saturday of doing this. We'll get it done. Actually, you know what? I was thinking about this the other day, and I just thought of it again. It would be fun to do some Saturday marathons again. So every once in a while, I will come on here and we will just do a marathon of a project. I think the last one we did for that was when COVID first started and we were first all at home. We did that squirrel embroidery. Oh, and we did, we finished the, we made that bag, the inner lining for the hedgehog bag. We finished stitching the hedgehog bag and made a lining for it. That was a big, long Saturday. That was our last Saturday sewing. That would be fun to do again. And I'd love to do one of our projects that we're doing here, like the Splendid Sampler, or it'd probably be this piece. Like, it'd be fun to just crank through all the rest of our blocks. Oh, dang, that would be fun. Just finish all the blocks. That would be a lot of hours, though. Maybe we wouldn't finish them all, but we'd get really far on the blocks, because then we could start working on the borders and all that. And, you know, I'd love to quilt it and do all that, too. So I think of Saturday, one of these Saturdays is going to be, we're going to have to dedicate it to this. I think I'm getting an itch for that, so I think that would be really fun to do soon. So let me know what you guys think about that. This one's got to go this way. Oh, that's odd. Oh, I just did one seam allowance the wrong way here. I'm going to just snip into the seam allowance a little bit so I can kind of get them going in opposite directions. I'm like, something's off here. Those folds out of there. Yay, another little feller done. Ooh, it's looking more and more different from that other one as I press it, I think. We'll compare them both. Ugh, I just want to get this thing laid out and sewn together. I'm ready for it. Okay, you guys, we will do that. My favorite part is the bloop. It just changes it to me once you see it as a square. So they are still pretty similar, but it's not done yet. Let's trim it. It doesn't. We're not going to really be able to compare till we've trimmed. All right. Let's line up those edges, see if I did it any better at that 9-inch. Let's see. Well, the bottom to the top looks really good. Like, that looks like 9 inches. So from here to here, it it's a little off yet, but much better, not much, a hair, like a literal hair better than before. So what that makes me think is that the paying a little bit closer to the seam allowances at this point, when we're sewing all these bits together, after we've cut the strips, that seems to have helped. And I guess maybe I just never paid that close attention. I was always more worried about nesting seams and maybe forgetting about the seam allowance, so that could be. All right, let's rotate him. Ooh, yeah, this green on the edge, that's looking cool. Okay, the 9 inches. Ugh, I'd love a new one of these rulers too. All these ones with the pink, I don't know. I'm not feeling them. So that may have to be a little holiday gift to myself or something. Some new quilting rulers. We'll see. All right, let's slide away those bits and see what we got. Okay, one more block. Let's see what it looks like. So very similar, but different enough. It's a subtle difference. Let's pull a couple other random ones out of here. So here's 2 more. Ooh, that one has a lot of green too. So here's 3 that feel like they're kind of in the same family, and then one that's a little off. Let's shimmy sham these a little, reorganize them, and see what it looks like. These are all just gonna look so cool. Let's plop 2 more down. It's gonna be so good. I really, really want to just get to the point where we can sew these together. Oh, Randy says, I'm up for an 8-hour live stream, LOL. Well, we did like a 7-hour one a couple years ago, but I could see at least doing like a 4 or 5 hour one to get a pile of these sewn together. That would be fun. So I would be down for that, for a longer kind of sew along. So these are the 2. This one and this one. These are the 2 from today. Looking all cute. They're so pretty. This project makes me happy every single time I'm working on it. So I'm stoked. So we still have. This was 21 and 22. So we still have 14 to go. So there's 14 of our strips, our long strip bits left. And I will fold those up and put them in the bin, and we'll get cranking on those again. I think we're one of these Saturdays, I'm just going to jump on and we'll do that. I'll let you know before we do a big long kind of marathon like that. I'll send an email out, or just I'll announce it in the group probably. So make sure you're in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group on Facebook, and I'll let you guys know sometime. It probably won't be this Saturday, but one of these Saturdays coming up, I'm going to have to get a pile of these done. I'm just like this project too much. I want to get it moving. All right, you guys. So thanks again. I think we will work on the I Love Home quilt tomorrow, and I'm hoping to work on that koala label as well. So I'll show you what I have done for that tomorrow as well. And we'll have a finish it Friday. All right, I will see you then. Have a great evening, everyone. Good night.